My girlfriend's open relationship rules. I'm a 25-year-old guy, and I've been dating my 25-year-old girlfriend for about 11 months. Very early in our relationship, she told me she had to be in an open relationship. This wasn't a negotiable preference. It was more like a non-negotiable condition. I'd never been in an open relationship before, but I was interested in her and willing to give it a shot. We talked it over, and it seemed clear that the arrangement meant that both of us could sleep with other people if we wanted to. It was a bit intimidating at first, but I assumed that was the fundamental understanding. An open relationship is open both ways. For most of these 11 months, I actually haven't slept with anyone else. I was completely happy with her, enjoying our connection, and felt I didn't need, or particularly want, other sexual partners. Meanwhile, my girlfriend has had multiple casual partners. No other serious relationships or romantic entanglements, she says, but occasional hookups. She's very open about it, letting me know when she's been with someone else, or casually mentioning that she's going out to meet someone. Initially, I tried not to dwell on it. I knew what I was getting into, right? She spelled it out from day one that she wanted an open relationship, so it felt unfair to hold it against her if she was just doing what we'd both agreed we could do. That said, I've grown to really love her. Over time, I found myself sometimes feeling twinges of jealousy, but I'd remind myself that we both consented to this structure. I'd also noticed that, while she kept dating other people, I hadn't been doing the same. Part of me wondered if that was okay. Was I missing out on something that was supposedly allowed? Or was I just more monogamy-oriented by nature? Either way, I stuck to the agreement. We could each sleep with whomever we wanted, and so far I just didn't want to, until 2 months ago. The incident that changed everything 2 months ago. I was at a party, got drunk, and ended up meeting someone. We hit it off in a fun, flirty way, and we slept together that night. I genuinely thought it wouldn't be a big deal in the context of an open relationship. I was following the rules we'd established. I told myself she sleeps with other people. I can also sleep with other people. That's the arrangement, so I didn't try to hide it. I didn't sneak around afterward, didn't delete texts, didn't lie about where I'd been. I just told my girlfriend because I assumed she'd be okay with it. Well, she was not okay with it. She was furious, actually, and she said that it was disrespectful for me to do that. The sheer shock I felt at her reaction was enough to make me question whether I'd misunderstood the entire open relationship concept. She started accusing me of betraying her trust. In my mind, it felt contradictory. This was the same woman who'd been seeing other people the entire time we've been together, and I was following the same rules I thought she was. But suddenly, I was at fault. From that point on, her behavior shifted drastically. She became paranoid and controlling, saying that I shouldn't be looking at other girls, that I needed to check in with her constantly, and that she wants access to my phone at all times, or to track my location when I go out. She says she loves me and I need to be loyal to her. But if I ask how this loyalty rule applies to her, she gets angry or dismissive. She repeats that plenty of women feel unsatisfied or confined in monogamous relationships, and she's not going to let me hold her back. Meanwhile, she expects me to only sleep with her. Conflicting perspectives. I'm caught in this confusing situation. On one side, I deeply love her and want to be with her. On the other side, it feels wrong that she wants an open relationship only on her side. We started with an arrangement where both of us could see other people. But the moment I did it, even once, she began treating me like I'd broken a sacred rule. In essence, she's telling me she wants total sexual and romantic freedom to hook up with others. I must stay loyal and shouldn't sleep with anyone else. I shouldn't even look like I'm flirting or eyeing other girls. And if I question any of this, I'm somehow stifling her freedom or not trusting her freedom. Or not trusting her freedom. It's complicated by the fact that open relationships can have many flavors. Some couples have strict guidelines about communication, safer sex, emotional boundaries, or permission-based systems. But from your description, it sounds like you two had a general rule. We can each sleep with whomever we want. No strings attached, no special rules stated about obtaining permission first, or about limiting the number of partners. So you believe that hooking up at a party was well within your agreed-upon boundaries. Her negative reaction implies she had other unstated expectations, like maybe she only feels comfortable hooking up if you're not hooking up with anyone else. A double standard that doesn't make sense from a typical polyamory or open relationship standpoint. The emotional impact. What does this do to you emotionally. It might spark confusion, resentment, or even heartbreak. You're essentially being told your girlfriend's freedom matters more than your sense of fairness or reciprocity in the relationship. It can also erode trust. You may feel she misled you, or changed the rules without telling you. And now, with her sudden shift into controlling behaviors, like checking your phone, demanding constant location sharing, and expecting you to prove your loyalty, this can feel suffocating. It's one thing to have an open relationship that works both ways under mutual respect, but it's another to be told you have to abide by monogamous standards while she doesn't. Is it overreacting to consider breaking up? As for whether you're overreacting by contemplating a breakup, you're not necessarily overreacting at all. You're reacting to a major incompatibility that's become visible. If she truly believes she can sleep with others while restricting you from doing the same, and then becomes controlling about your whereabouts, that's a big red flag. An open relationship, ideally, should operate on mutual agreement, respect, and communication. Both partners deserve to have their needs addressed. If she's rejecting your side of the openness and punishing you for doing exactly what she does, that's not a balanced dynamic. In a healthy open relationship or poly setup, the couple would regularly communicate about comfort levels, jealousy, safe sex boundaries, emotional connections, and so on. If jealousy arises, it's addressed openly, not through unilateral demands or contradictory rules. If she's not willing to meet you halfway and discuss how to navigate both of your feelings, it's not truly an open relationship. It's more a one-sided free pass for her, while you remain bound by monogamy. Deciding if this is a deal breaker boils down to your personal boundaries. If you can't tolerate the double standard, where she can have external sexual partners but you cannot, then it might be time to move on. If you still want to try to salvage the relationship, you'd need to have a very frank conversation about fairness, your emotional comfort, and the essential guidelines going forward. Would she be willing to compromise? Would she accept you also having occasional hookups? Or is she adamant that her rule stands? If it's the latter, you might be in for ongoing conflict. Potential next steps. Communicate clearly. Sit down with her, calmly, if possible, and express how you feel about the double standard. Emphasize that you're not opposed to an open arrangement in principle, but you need transparency and reciprocity. Seek counseling. If you believe there's a chance to salvage the relationship, a therapist specializing in non-monogamous relationships might help you sort out the boundary issues. Reflect on your needs. Ask yourself if you really want a monogamous relationship, or if you're happy with the concept of open relationships, as long as they're fair and mutual. If you realize you prefer monogamy, that alone could be a fundamental mismatch with her desires. Establish boundaries. If she's unwilling to accept that you also have the right to sleep with others, or if she continues to be controlling, you have to decide if that's tolerable or not. Healthy partnerships don't usually thrive under severe mistrust or one-sided freedoms. Ultimately, wanting to break up isn't an overreaction when you're dealing with a glaring imbalance. Relationships, open or otherwise, flourish when both people feel respected, heard, and safe. Right now, you feel none of those things. If she can't acknowledge the discrepancy and make an effort to find common ground, walking away might be the healthiest choice for your well-being.